You're tuning in to Viet News in Hanoi. I'm Vĩ Hằng and following are the main stories. Party General Secretary Nguyễn Phú Trọng busy in Russia. Prime Minister Nguyễn Tấn Dũng attends Cambodia-Laos Development Triangle Summit. And later on, disbursed foreign direct investments hit $11.2 billion in the first 11 months. Party General Secretary Nguyễn Phú Trọng has a busy working schedule during his visit to Russia from November 23rd to 26th. Our reporters have more. On November 25th, General Secretary Trọng met with Russian Prime Minister Dmitry Medvedev, who is also leader of the United Russia Party. The host said he is impressed by Vietnamese people's sentiments towards Russia, as well as Vietnam's socio-economic developments. The party chief said Vietnam always considers Russia one of the country's most important and trustworthy partners. He added that the Communist Party of Vietnam hopes to boost the friendship and cooperation with the United Russia Party. House and guests discussed measures to deepen the comprehensive strategic partnership between the two sides. They agreed to bring the two-way trade to $7 billion in 2015 and $10 billion in 2020. Both leaders pledged to create best possible conditions for the two countries' oil and gas companies to operate effectively in each country. The Russian side affirmed to work closely with Vietnam to implement the Ninh Thuận nuclear power plant in a safe and high-quality manner. The same day, Party General Secretary Nguyễn Phú Trọng and his entourage left Moscow for southwestern city of Sochi. Earlier, the Vietnamese party chief visited Zarubezhnev, one of the leading petrol groves of Russia. General Secretary Trọng spoke highly of the cooperation between Zarubezhnev and the Vietnamese National Oil and Gas Group. He cited joint venture Vietsopetrol as a symbol for the effective collaboration. On November 24th, General Secretary Trọng had separate meetings with Chairwoman of Russia's Federation Council, Upper House, Valentina Matvienko, and acting chairman of the Russian State Duma, Lower House, Ivan Ivanovich Melnikov. Prime Minister Nguyễn Tấn Dũng proposed upgrading and expanding the Cambodia-Laos-Vietnam cooperation at the 8th Development Triangle Area Summit in the Laos capital city of Vientiane on November 25th.
The summit was co-chaired by Prime Minister Nguyễn Tấn Dũng, Thongsin Thamavong, and Hun Sen. It screens the implementation of the revised Master Plan on Socio-Economic Development of the Development Triangle Area to 2020 and the Memorandum of Understanding on Preferential Policies for the area. The Vietnamese leader urged joint efforts for an annual average GDP growth rate of 10% and an annual per capita income of $1,500 to $1,600 by 2015. The three countries should coordinate closely to create a common voice and take full advantage of the Development Triangle Area's policies and economic scope. The Vietnamese Prime Minister emphasized the need to continue simplifying investment procedures and improving tax policies in order to facilitate the collaboration between the three nations' businesses. At the summit, the Prime Ministers were unanimous in strengthening cooperation in security and diplomacy, especially in fighting drug and human trafficking and transborder crimes, responding to infectious diseases and natural disasters, and clearing war-left unexploded ordnance. The Prime Ministers signed a joint declaration on Cambodia-Laos-Vietnam Development Triangle Area Cooperation and agreed to organize the 9th summit in Cambodia in 2016.
Prime Minister Nguyễn Tấn Dũng had separate meetings with Lao and Cambodian leaders on the sidelines of the 8th summit of the Cambodia-Laos-Vietnam Development Triangle in Vientiane on November 24th to 25th.
At the November 25th meeting, Lao Party General Secretary and President Chumali Seyason stressed Prime Minister Dung's participation in the summit have reinforced traditional friendship, special solidarity, and all-round cooperation between the two sides. The host highly valued achievements Vietnam and Laos have obtained in the fields of business, trade, and investment. Prime Minister Dung stated that the Vietnamese party, state, and people always stand side by side with Laos in the cause of its national construction and development. The two sides agreed to push up the progress of Vietnam-funded projects in Laos, increase cooperation in culture, education, training, science and technology, and continue to expand collaboration between their ministries and localities. On November 24th, Prime Minister Nguyễn Tấn Dũng and his Lao counterpart Thong Sin Thamavong agreed to conclude negotiations on the signing of a new bilateral trade agreement. The document forms the legal framework for achieving the two countries' goal of $2 billion in trade by 2015. Both host and guests spoke highly of the outcomes of the 36th conference of the Vietnam-Laos Intergovernmental Committee in Vientiane and consented to actively prepare for the 37th conference scheduled for early next year. Prime Minister Nguyễn Tấn Dũng and his Cambodian counterpart Samdech Hun Sen agreed in talks in Vientiane, Laos on November 24th to strive toward $5 billion in trade next year. Apart from bolstering economic trade and investment ties, they also vowed to work closely on national defense and security. Hailing the past efforts on border demarcation, the two leaders reiterated their determination to conclude the task soon, contributing to building a border of peace, friendship, stability, and development. Vietnam and Cambodia will offer assistance and equal treatment to expatriates living in their respective countries, they pledged. The pair vowed to work closely at multilateral forums such as the United Nations and other regional and sub-regional mechanisms.
Moving to other news, budget ally Viet will launch air routes between Vladivostok in Russia and a number of Vietnamese localities, with the first flight scheduled for May 2015. The carrier revealed its plan on November 24th.
The route connecting the far eastern Russian city of Vladivostok and Hanoi will become operational in May 2015, with 3 round flights per week. The carrier said flights between Vladivostok and Ho Chi Minh City, Nha Trang, Da Nang, Hue and Phu Quoc will be opened later. With a new airplane fleet and quality services, the routes are expected to meet the two countries' need for cargo transport, cultural exchange and tourism cooperation, helping to promote their long-standing ties. On September 6, Viet Air signed an agreement with the Vladivostok International Airport to open direct flights between the two sides. The agreement was reached at the 17th session of the Vietnam-Russia Intergovernmental Committee.
Vietnam and Italy are seeing a bright prospect to strengthen their economic ties. Riccardo Maria Monti, president of the Italian Trade Promotion Agency, made the remark on the sidelines of a forum for Italian and Vietnamese businesses in Hanoi on November 24th.
The forum was participated a number of executives from nearly 100 Italian organizations and businesses operating in the fields of mechanical engineering, renewable energy and health. Participants discussed opportunities to further foster cooperation between Italian and Vietnamese businesses. They agree that Vietnam has become an attractive investment destination of Italian enterprises, especially in agricultural machinery, infrastructure and energy.
Well, the prospect seems very positive. The two governments have met at very high level in the last 12 months. We will host a joint commission tomorrow. We see an increased interest in Vietnam as a platform to penetrate the big ASEAN market. The new policy of the Vietnamese government with the economic special zone that make life much easier for investors seems to be the right way to attract Italian investment.
Italy now has 22 valid projects in Vietnam with a total capital of around $60 million. The European country is Vietnam's third largest trade partner among European Union members. The bilateral trade reached almost $3.4 billion between January and October this year. The figure is expected to reach $5 billion by 2016.
The Foreign Investment Agency has reported that disbursed foreign direct investment hit $11.2 billion in the first 11 months of this year, rising 6.2% year-on-year.
The agency's latest report showed foreign investors poured $17.33 billion into Vietnam so far this year, equivalent to 83.3% of the investment year-on-year. Meanwhile, $3.92 billion was added to the registered capital of more than 500 existing projects. The processing and manufacturing industry continued to be the most attractive sector for FDI with 689 new projects. The property sector ranked second, followed by the construction sector. The Republic of Korea topped the list of 60 countries and territories investing in Vietnam in the reviewed period, with 39.4% of the country's total FDI. Singapore and Japan ranked second and third, respectively.
Experts from the US, Germany, and some international organizations reveals ways to evaluate the efficiency of research and development in the public and private sectors. They also analyzed the innovation gap in Vietnam at a symposium opened in Hanoi on November 24th.
A report released by the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, OECD, clarifies Vietnam's strengths and weaknesses, as well as the opportunities and challenges for its science and technology sector.
We have to think that Vietnam is still, a developing country. So to address science, technology, innovation is very challenging in that context. So we have to keep that in mind. And firstly, of course, currently Vietnam has a weak capability in research and in innovation. That means the public research sector.
Victoria Kawakwa, the World Bank country director in Vietnam, said improving the efficiency of scientific research and the application of technology is important to increase the productivity and quality of Vietnam's economy. She said Vietnam should strengthen investment in developing modern technologies so as to improve its business's position in the global value chain and their competitiveness on the world market.
The nghệ tĩnh Viet folk singing in Vietnam is amongst the 46 nominations for UNESCO's recognition as the World Intangible Cultural Heritage of Humanity at the UN body's 9th session that opens in Paris on November 24th.
The session is scheduled to examine the folk singing together with 45 applications from other countries as part of the intangible cultural heritage of humanity. The dossier on Viet singing was submitted to the UNESCO in March this year.
Vietnam started collecting and researching on Viet singing for a long time. Apart from the support of local people, we also receive assistance from the Ministry of Culture, Sport and Tourism and local authorities in compiling the dossier.
This style of folk singing is popular in nearly 260 villages in the central provinces of Nghệ An and Hà Tĩnh. The two localities have 51 singing clubs with over 800 vocalists, many of whom are actively preserving the folk music. Viet folk music, estimated to have 15 tunes of Viet and 8 airs of Dap, is a repartee sung while walking. It reflects the work, cultural life and feelings of the residents in the central coastal provinces. During the session, the committee will also consider 8 dossiers seeking recognition as cultural heritage in need of urgent safeguarding.
And that is the end of our bulletin. Do log on to vietnamplus.vn for more of our updates. Thank you for joining us, and goodbye for now.